Okay, I'm gonna do another video on the my most valuable records. Again, I'm using Discog prices. I'm actually averaging the 2022 sales only, and then I'm doing what the current lowest price one is available, just to keep the value conservative. And when you look at the ones that are currently for sale, they may not sell for that price. They may be too expensive, and the prices may come down. But this is an interesting one because this one is still kind of selling at a high price. I'm not sure if people don't realize that this record's been repressed. It's possible that they don't know, or the people who are still paying up to almost $100 for this record or more, because the average price for this one, and this is 21 to 11. I'm going to do 21 to 11. But this is Steel Panther, Balls Out, a second Steel Panther record on this list, and this is a great record. Steel Panther are, I like Steel Panther. I mean, they're disgusting, they're gross. They're a parody band, so I think I can put up with it, even though they're incredibly offensive. They're actually trying to be offensive. I don't know if that makes it better or worse. And I completely understand people who hate this because they think it's disrespecting glam metal as a genre or whatever. Completely understand that, but these guys obviously have a following, and I do enjoy their albums. I've bought pretty much every single album, and this record is going for, in 2022, it sold a few times, and it averaged sales for $98. And there's a current one on there for $106. But the last one that sold, I thought was interesting. It sold for $148, and it didn't say anything on there that it was signed or anything like that. So I'm not sure what was going on with that one, but it just comes in black. And the new one that's pressed on Music on Vinyl, yeah, it's only like $40. So I'm just not sure why this original press is still selling for the price that it's selling for, even recently. I bought this too in a clearance rack at FYE. I think I paid like $20 or less for it. And when I bought it, it was going for quite a bit, even then, because it was the only pressing at the time. But it was just repressed on Music on Vinyl, so I think the price did go down. From what I remember, it might have been around 150 or 120 or something before the repress, and it has gone down to about 100. But yeah, one just sold recently for 150, so that's interesting. I don't know why. I really think it's people are just not, some people who really want these albums are just not paying attention, maybe, for the reissues, or they don't want the reissues. I mean, I don't know. I would go for a reissue because I want to save money. And like I said, I paid way less for a lot of these records. I either bought them used and got a good deal, or I bought them at retail. There's only a few records, and I think everybody's like this. I don't think I'm special in saying that. There's probably like 3 to 5 bands that, or maybe not even bands, but maybe 3 to 5 records that everybody has on their list that they're like, if I see this record, I would probably overpay for it if I saw it available, or I would really consider paying a little bit more than I'm comfortable with. Maybe it's less, maybe 5 is a lot, but for me, there was a good 4 or 5 records like that, and I got honestly, I got most of them off that list. I have a lot of several of the records that were in my 5, and they're all weird records. They're not the typical stuff. They're not like Beatles Butcher or anything like that, which obviously would be way out of my price range. But anyway, the next record, this is number 20 on the list. This is the Miami Connection soundtrack. Now, from my understanding, this is never going to be repressed again. Now, I don't know if they're just saying that, but there's a really good chance that you probably won't ever see this repressed again. I mean, I don't know. I think there was, and there's the band Dragon in all their glory, Dragon Sound. Oh, these guys are so good. Yeah, Dragon Sound is so good on this. That's the name of the band. I don't even want to say it's a fake band because it is a real band. They played those songs and they recorded them. And they're in the movie and they play them straight faced. And this is an amazingly so bad it's good movie. It's one of the best. And this movie was never released. It was released in like one or two theaters when the guy, maybe one theater, when the guy who wrote and directed it, or at least wrote the movie, this guy, I forget his name. I'll put it in the thing. I'm just terrible with names when I do these videos. He funded after he finished the movie and edited it together. Nobody wanted to buy it, of course, right? I mean, nobody in their right mind would have bought this movie to try to sell it to make money. Except ironically, right? And I'm not really dragging on the movie because the movie is amazing. It's really, really good. It's fun. It's very watchable. It's hilarious. If you watch it with friends, it's amazing. But anyway, he made the movie, funded it himself to get it played in theaters. It made no money, so he kind of just lost the film, basically, right? And then Draft House is a company that owns some theaters in Texas at the time, and they just go on eBay randomly, and these guys just buy, movie 35 millimeter movies or 20, whatever millimeter movies. They just buy them in the cans. They don't even know what they are sometimes. This movie was bought, and the guy played it. He played the first reel, and he's like, I can't believe this movie. It is amazing. And he tried to contact the guy who made the movie. The guy lives in Florida, and the guy kept hanging up on him. He's like, you're not interested in my movie. This movie, I made it 30 years ago or whatever. Why are you calling me? He didn't believe that they were actually interested in the movie. But once this movie was shown at the Draft House theaters and people got to see it, it was an immediate hit on the cult film circuit, So this movie's been released several times, and the key component of this movie is there's a band in the movie called Dragon Sound, and they play at this club, and their songs are so freaking good. And I say that with a straight face because I love these songs. Friends is a great song, and Against the Ninja are great. Their songs, yeah. Oh my God. Those two songs, Friends is one of the best songs about friendship. I say that with a straight face ever. It really is. It's that good. Anyway, people in the know love this movie. Would probably kill for the soundtrack. Maybe not kill for it, but they would pay at least $100 because that's the average sale in 2022 for this record. And there's a current one for sale for $96. I would jump on that. Buy this record now. And this came on a black and red split. But yeah, I don't know that this movie will ever be reissued, or this soundtrack. It would be amazing if it does, but I honestly don't think there's that many people interested. It's such a cult film, and you really have to be in the right mind to enjoy it. It's not a serious film. I don't want to say like this is one of the best movies ever made, because it's not. It's one of the worst movies ever made, but it is one of the most fun movies ever made as well. And if you watch this with a group of people, I guarantee, even if it's just with one other friend, I guarantee you guys will be just like this. Your jaw's going to drop. You're going to be like, I can't believe this is real. And I am enjoying the hell out of it. Miami Connection. The title of the film really almost has nothing to do with what happens in the movie, which is hilarious. And 5 out of 5 stars. All right. That was 2020. 19. Now, this one is interesting. Never heard of this band before, ever. At Lunchbox, some guy sold back all of his records that were on this record label, like a bunch of them, like maybe like 10 or 15, maybe not that many, probably about 6 or 7 bands. And this is the Artisan Era. Yeah, Artisan Era. These are Artisan Era records, and this is Zenith Passage. This is an EP. It has 5 songs. I bought this for $12, 10 or 12 bucks. You know, maybe, yeah, I think it was 10 or 12 bucks at Lunchbox. And when I got home, I started playing. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's technical death metal. Really nothing that special. And because tech death, especially tech death on this label, it almost all sounds the same to me, really, honestly. They really do sound incredibly similar. I think you would really have to spend a lot of time with this, or kind of be a musician to really appreciate this album as it needs to be appreciated. You know, the musicianship is insane, sweet picking, you know, all the guitar tricks for, you know, guitar gods is on these records, you know, and these guys, a lot of these guys, they're not even bands, you know, some of these albums are just one member. These guys aren't, though, I don't think. I think there's a couple guys. It might be just a couple guys. It says Justin McKinnon and Greg Hampton. So it might only be a 2-guy band, and they might program the drums and, you know, whatever. The Zenith Passage, the name of this record is Cosmic Dissidence, and this is the remastered. There's only 150 pressed, and it's on the splatter. It's like red, blue, black, and clear. I believe there's only 150 pressed. It's called Clear with blue, pink, purple splat. 150 pressed, sold for $100. The 2 that sold, it averaged to 100. And there's one on there now for $96. So this record costs $100 to buy right now. And it's a 5-song EP, I think. Yeah, it's like an EP. It's not even like really a full length. The album's probably like 20, 30 minutes at the most. It's pretty good tech death. So it's an interesting record. I don't know if it's just because there was only 150 that people really want this, or I really don't know the history of this album. So yeah, if anybody knows about this band and, you know, why it's so expensive, this record, maybe it is just because there was only 150 pressed. I don't know. Anyway, that's that Zenith Passage. All right, let's go to number 18. This one is more obvious as to why it is a little bit expensive. And this is Meshuggah. This is Abzan. This is a 5 out of 5 record. I think I did I think this was in one of my videos, my 5 out of 5 death metal albums. And this one is, yeah, it's Abzan. These guys also, I was talking about Blind Guardian in my last video, where they did a reissue campaign, and they reissued a bunch of records for Blind Guardian. And they changed the art, or they didn't change the cover art, but they changed all the everything that the album came with, as far as you know, art on the back, or, you know, any art that was originally in the CDs. This is a great record. This is like Meshuggah's, you know, Sgt. Pepper. Really, it's probably, in my opinion, I don't want to make general statements, but in my opinion, and I think other people's opinion as well, I mean, I don't think I'm the only one, this is kind of their best record. It has the song Bleed on it, which might be overplayed now, but is still fucking brilliant. Like, every song on here is really, really good. This came on, I believe it's a brown. I'm going to try to, okay, yeah, you can kind of see the color there. It's brown. And this one had, there's only 700 pressed in this color. And it went for, and this is number 18 on the list. In 2022, it averaged $100, you know, for selling this record. And it only sold, well, I don't know how many it sold. I just have $100 listed here. But right now, there's 0. Like, it's not being sold. usually when it's like that, when there's very few, and 700 is not a incredibly small number. You know, some of these pressings are like 300. You know, I can understand, but even the Blind Guardian with 300 still has a way overpriced one for 250. But yeah, there is none. People are holding on to this record. So yeah, I don't even know. You know, I wouldn't say you can name your price, but yeah, you could probably get at minimum $100 for this on Discogs. I think if I threw it up, my guess is it would sell right away. Anyway, Obzen, Meshuggah, my 18th most valuable record. All right, we're at 17. This album is by my favorite artist, pairing with Annette Ginsburg. I don't know if that's how you spell it. I think that's how you say her name. And this is The Gentle Storm. This is a kind of a one-off album that Arjun did. This one's just on the black vinyl, so nothing really special there. I know there's a colored version or like a clear version. And this came on a triple vinyl as well. The album was recorded kind of twice. There is a gentle version of the album and a storm version of the album. But the storm version of the songs are a bit heavier, you know, maybe more rhythm guitar added. But yeah, this album was a one-off, so I think that's one of the reasons why it's kind of expensive. But it's based on real letters that were found by some family member maybe, or just somebody who found a chest trunk that was bought and found these letters in a book or something like that. The whole story is written in here, you know, like the whole concept album, the whole concept of the album is in here. And yeah, they were just kind of really moved by the story, and I guess it was published, and you know, and then I guess Anik might have been interested in the story, did the album together. Arjun wrote the music, she wrote some of the lyrics. I mean, I think they collaborated pretty much on the whole thing. But this is number 17, and this album sells for, on average in 2022, it sold for 102. And right now there's one for sale for 120. So you could probably get this for 120 at the you know, at the least. Number 16. This is one of those records I was mentioning that I paid way too much money for. I paid a lot of money for this record because I was obsessed with it. I couldn't even stream it anywhere except for YouTube. Like YouTube, somebody had posted it on YouTube. I kind of have a thing for these sometimes all girl bands, but sometimes just lead singer, you know, female lead singer bands. But this is an all female band. And this is an album that came out and was pressed in the 90s. It was only available as a UK press, probably extremely limited. I never was seeing this album, ever. And I was patient. I think I waited over a year before one finally showed up on eBay. And I put in a max bid that was beyond what I wanted to pay. But the description of the album was really, really good. And I was happy to pay that. I paid more than what it's on here. I'm not real well. I think I paid with shipping. It was probably $150. But I was like, I'm never going to see this ever, you know. And you really don't see this out. I don't think there's zero for sale right now. I think one sold this year. And like, I think the entire sales on Discogs is maybe like 3 or 4 records, like for years and years and years. And you go on Pop Psych and, you know, it's like 1 or 2 a year as well. So this album just doesn't show up. So when it does, you have to pounce on it. And you even, like, this is one of those records where the value is my value. I'm the guy who would be pushing the price up on Discogs, making people want to sell this for 150, 200, $300. I don't know if I would pay that much, but I was definitely willing to fork out almost 150 bucks. And it's Phantom Blue, and this is Built to Perform. This is like a near mint copy too. This album is so freaking good. I love this record. I almost wish it was my most expensive record because I love it that much. I think it's great. It's a really great hard rock record. Um, the female guitarist on here, Melanie, no, Michelle Meldrum. She was married to John Norum from Europe for a little while, and she actually passed away of cancer. Not that long. I mean, I can't remember. I don't know if it was in the 2000s or I think it was. They had a kid together and stuff, and they both played guitar, and she was such a great guitar player. And this album is great. I freaking love it. And I bought the first Phantom Blue record, and I was like, oh, I really like this record. And then I found out that there was a second one. This one came out, I believe this is 1992 or 93. So this is 1993 on Geffen. This is a UK press. Never pressed in the United States. Obviously, this is vinyl. 93, pretty much everything was being chucked on vinyl. I don't even know how this got passed, even in UK, you know? I don't know how this got pressed, but it did, and I couldn't be happier. And when I was listening to the Phantom Blue record, the first one, I was digging it. I liked it. And then I found out, oh shit, they have another record, Built to Perform. When I played this album, it just blew me away. It just has this really great hard rock momentum. The songs are catchy. The guitar playing is great. It just is everything that I want in a hard rock, you know, kind of glam metal record. This is a grail for Michael Chalmers, for me, for Seder 42 vinyl. This is a grail for me. I think everybody who collects records probably has a grail that, I mean, I'm not the only one who wants this record, obviously, but there's not a ton of us out there who are going to put down 150 bucks for this record. Maybe even people who want it wouldn't pay that much. But I paid close to that. Phantom Blue. So this record sold, I don't even know if one sold in 2022, but I wrote down 103. And then the last one that sold was 118. And there's 0 for sale right now. Like, this record is just never, ever, ever available. And it was on Geffen, but it was issued in the UK on Roadrunner. So, and this is a really, really clean copy, really clean, especially the cover and the inner. You know, it has that thinner cardboard outer that UK presses have. So, you know, you really can't do anything about that. You know, and that's going to cause it to get more wear more quickly than the more stiff cardboard that was used on US presses for the most part. Anyway, grail for me. Paid way too much. I love this album. Number 16 on my list and I'm glad that even though I overpaid, that I know it's one of my most valuable records. This one was also repressed recently. But because it's an OG press, this is number 15, because it's an OG press, it's still going for quite a bit. And I don't know if anybody really even knew that there was a repress. I mean, it was brought to my attention by somebody else. So, you know, I'm not signed up for all the mailing lists, but I heard nothing about this reissue until a friend of mine, Rockley Records, said, OMG, you know, because I was getting them into thrash metal. I was like, these are thrash metal albums that you got to get. This was on the list. I didn't know at the time. I don't think I gave him a couple records to get, and he's gotten really lucky. Violence, Eternal Nightmare just got reissued as well. This album just got reissued, but I gave him several records that were not easy to get or that were really expensive, not even thinking how hard they were to get. And this was a grail for me. This was another one. It's interesting how these two albums got clumped together, because the time I bought this was a grail. This is a grail. And I know this is a grail for some other people too. And my copy is sweet. It's person who owned it didn't even play this record. I mean, I swear, I think it came to me brand new. I mean, there is not a mark on this album. I mean, it is perfect. It really is. It has a little bit thinner sleeve, so, you know, it has kind of less than normal wear and tear, and it's even a cutout. That's a crime that nobody bought this and it ended up in a cutout bin. That's a crime, because this album is a 5 out of 5. It's 100%. And it sold in 2022. The original press was selling for, on average, 102. And there's a current one right now. The current low price is $95. And I think that that's going down probably because of the repress. I think people are aware of it. The record, I'm pretty sure it was maybe played just a couple times. Whoever owned this did not play it. This is a grail. There's a current one on there for $95, but you could get the repress, and from what I hear, the repress is good. That is number 15. Number 14 is interesting because I don't know if Metal Blade Records is holding on to not repressing this or not, but they could easily, I think, repress this record. It's number 14. It's Death Symbolic, and it's on white vinyl. This album is going for 2022. The average sale price was, the average of all the sales was 112. There's one right now though that's only $80. So, you know, and there's other ones on there that are higher, but I only went with the lowest. And I probably should have looked, but I don't know if that is a, VG, copy. I don't know what if there's something wrong with that copy. But $80 is what it's going for now. There's only 1,500 of these. And I think Metal Blade has the rights to this. So this was the only Death album that came out on Metal Blade, I believe. And, they only pressed like 1,500 on white. Maybe a couple of, there might be a black pressing too. This needs a repress. If it gets one, it's going to sell out, guaranteed. All these Death represses they keep selling. So I don't think it would be a problem. I don't know what the issue is. If he does need permission, or if he has to share royalties with the family, I don't know. It's a crime this is not repressed. This one is interesting. This is another album. I talked about an album in my last video of albums that were only ever released on CD. This is one of them. And this is Matthew Sweet. This is Kimagasuki Raifu. And this is an album that he claims to have made for his Japanese fans, and it's on the red vinyl. He claims to have made it for his Japanese fans because he wasn't really making records. And the records that he was making were not in the same style as like Girlfriend or 100% Fun. He was really experimenting in the 90s. And or even in the 2000s, this came out, originally released on CD in 2003. So he was experimenting a lot, and he really went to a back to basics with this album. And this album is great. This is the kind of Matthew Sweet that I like. And he needs to release his other stuff too. There's a gap there of records that came out in the 2000s, or late 90s, or in the 90s and 2000s that are not on vinyl, never were. And thank goodness this was repressed. And this is number 13 on the list. This one goes for 113 average, and the lowest one currently is $118. So not a cheap record right now. And it was only pressed there was only 500 on the red vinyl. So yeah, if you're a Matthew Sweet fan, This album is great. If you didn't know that it was on vinyl, now you do. And you're going to have to pay a little bit to get it, unfortunately. But it is one of Matthew Sweet's best records, really. It fits right in there with 100% Fun and Blue Sky on Mars, like right around that style of Matthew Sweet, where it's a kind of back to basics, you know. Next record is number 12 on the list. And this record is, I bought this record on Record Store Day. And I want to buy all these, but they've all gone up in price. They all are expensive. So if you don't get these the day they come out, they've been going up in price. And there's at least 13 of them now. And this is Hillbillies in Hell. This is volume 3. And I have it on red. This one, on average, sold for 114 on Discogs in 2022, and there's one on there right now for $143. Like, these are, and there's only 333. They pressed them in in 666 amounts. So they did 333 in a color and 333 in black, at least for this one. This record is fun. These records are kind of cool to have. The best part about, I mean, not only these covers are great, like they always add a little bit of touch. Like if you can see, there's a little bit of blood. So, you know, they have these like normal cowboy pictures or whatever, or these musicians, country musician pictures, and they add just a little bit. Sometimes there's devil horns, sometimes there's blood, whatever they add is really cool. And these records are just fun as hell to listen to. They're all songs that have a theme about like the devil, doing bad things like murder, suicide, anything. These are the country songs that are just, all of the bad stuff that happens to country music artists happens on these records. They say they got the original tapes and that they did that. So there's songs like Cold, Cold Grave, Ain't the Reaping Done, Graveyard Dance, Dig Me a Hole, Laura, What's He Got That I Ain't Got? There's just Devil's Slate. You get the idea. If you want to buy this record right now on red, $143. Not cheap. And the average was 114. I have 3 of these, I think. 3 or 4. I think I have 3. I don't think I'm going to be able to afford to get all of them. And honestly, I don't know how many I need. I really don't listen to this that much, but when I do, I love it. I every time I do put it on, I enjoy it. So I probably would enjoy more of these, but I'm kind of talking myself out of it because they're expensive. So I'm like, I don't listen to these that much. I don't need them. That helps me not want to pay $143 for the ones that I don't have. All right, this is the last one for this video. This is number 11, and then I'll do the top 10. This album is released on Earache Records, and I think that Earache Records had a fallout with these guys. Like, I think they hate each other. Earache, the record label, and the band. So this is just my understanding of rumors. I don't know any of this to be fact. But but there's 2 albums, I think, that were, maybe 3, that were recorded from this band on Earache Records that no represses. And this is Decapitated, Winds of Creation. Anyway, these guys are really young. They started out, I think 15, 16 years old. And this might be their second album, I believe. They do a good version of Mandatory Suicide on here from Slayer. But yeah, this album is pretty good for a tech death band. And I just have the black vinyl. I think there's a colored version. The colored version is probably more expensive. There was only 900 pressed on black on Earache and Willow Tip. This was and Wicked World. I guess it was a triple record label release. And I think Earache had a falling out with these guys, so or whatever. They're just, these are never up for repress, you know, on the Earache website. Yeah, and this one goes for, this one sold in 2022 on average for 115, and 3 of them sold in 2022. Currently, there's one up there for 121. So if you wanted this, you'd have to pay 121 bucks. And that's it. That's up through 11. The top 10 is next. Yeah, this is a little bit scattered. I don't know how good this video is, but at least you got to see the records that I have that are now we're getting to the 100 plus. Now I watched another video of somebody else, Northern something, I can't remember his Northern Records maybe. His records go up in value to like $300-400, and that is not where I'm at. And I think he paid a little bit. He paid less than that, he says, so I believe him. I think a lot of us find these deals, and I think that's why I'm not really using the average of what people are trying to sell them for. I think sellers look at those graphs and they see, oh, one sold for 200, so I think I can sell mine for 200. That's not the case. You know, I think that those records, I think that the average price is probably what they really should be looking at. You know, they should really price within that average, maybe the high side of the average, if they actually want to sell it. Because those one-offs where people spend 150, 200 on a record that averages for 90, those are people who are buying, those are super fans, right? Who just been either waiting for this record to pop up and are just, I don't care what it costs, I'm going to put it on my credit card, pay for it later type deal. I don't know. But yeah, I think those are rare. And those sellers are really lucky that they had those people waiting. But yeah, I don't think that the value is more of what's the average of what sold, not really the high of what sold. And I think everybody knows that. But anyway, that's where we're at.